Let's assume our trade fair is over and I'm back in the office to maintain the newly received leads in the Business ByDesign system. But before we start with that, I want to create a new expense report for my stay at the trade fair. To open the new expense report, I go to my home work center, and here I go to the self-service overview view. Down here I find the expenses section, and from here I can trigger a new expense report. As you can see, the new expense report is again a guided activity, and Business ByDesign directs me step by step through different steps. In the first step, I start with a selection of the type of the expense report, which was a business trip. Then I add the purpose, which was to attend the Solar World Trade Fair. I then define the start date, which was last Wednesday, and I left about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I came back last Friday about 5 p.m. in the afternoon. That's all I need to maintain on the first step, and then I can continue with the next step. Here I add my expenses for the hotel, the flight, and the taxi. So therefore I click Add Row. First I define the expense type. First I add the flight, and I add the expense amount, which is $650. Then I click Add Row again. Select the expense type. Next I add the hotel, which was $450. And last but not least, the third expense type was for the taxi, which was $50. On the next step, I can upload an attachment or receipt to the expense report, and I will upload the receipt for my hotel. Therefore, I click Add, File, click Browse, and here I have the hotel invoice for the Solar World. Let me add that, and now it's added to my new expense report. In the next step, I can review my expense report, and here I also see that my manager needs to approve the expense report. And I'm also fine with all the other information I see here, so I can now click Finish. So I have finished my expense report, and now let's see how my manager can approve the expense report using a mobile app. As I just mentioned, I will take over the role of the manager and use the Manager Approval app to approve the expense report. To log on to the Approval app, I use the same credentials that I used to log on to the Business ByDesign system using the web browser. Both interfaces are using the same data source, which assures that I'm using the most up-to-date data. When I'm logged on, I see the different approval requests waiting for my attention. To select the expense report, I only need to click it. If I click it again, I get to the detailed view. On the first page, I found general information like the total amount, the date, or the purpose of the travel. From here, I can also open the attached total invoice. After I've reviewed the invoice, I can go back to the first page, and if I swipe to the right, I can get more information about the different line items of the expense report. In case I do not agree, I can add my comments down here and send the expense report back for revision. But let me go back. I'm okay with the expense report, so the only thing I need to do now, I drag and drop it up here and click the green button to approve it. Now I'm done with the approval of the expense report, and we can now go back to the ByDesign system to maintain the new lead that was received during the trade fair.